and gentlemen, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for this devotional. Today we're in Daniel chapter 6. I'm going to read verses 6 through 9. Today we pick up in the story where the satraps and the high officials are planning to entrap Daniel, and they're going to do it by legal legislation. Let's hear what happens next. Then these high officials and satraps came by agreement to the king and said to him, "O King Darius, live forever." All the high officials of the kingdom, the prefects and the satraps and the counselors and the governors are all agreed that the king should establish an ordinance and enforce an injunction that whoever makes petition to any god or man for 30 days, except for you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the injunction and sign the document so that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be revoked. Therefore, King Darius signed the document and injunction. So, these Persian officials are actually pretty crafty, aren't they? I mean, they know they have limited power, but they're cunning enough to understand how to use the law to their advantage. So they concoct a plan to create an irrevocable law that competes with Daniel's religious beliefs. Imagine that. Yet it does at the same time play to the king's ego. And it's all born out of sheer envy of Daniel himself. And the drama is actually pretty complex. It's so good it would make an incredible Netflix series. But a lot of things have to happen for their plan to work. First, they got to find many like-minded officials who don't like Daniel and want to form an alliance. Second, they got to figure out how to use the legal system to actually entrap Daniel and his religious beliefs. And then third, they have to persuade the king to write all this into law. But for me, the whole ironic part of this little plan is the punishment that they actually decide. It's being cast into a den of lions, which, by the way, spoiler alert, is a punishment that they're determining for themselves, which makes this whole thing laughable, doesn't it? So here's the lesson. Don't let your envy decide your end. You know, envy here led to alliances and planning and laws and injunctions. And the problems with man's envy is that as it evolves and matures and grows, it will become so selfish and arrogant that we might miss that our subsequent actions are becoming an effort against God. This is what the Persian officials failed to see. Their envy was not a legal move against Daniel. That's what they thought it was. It was actually a legal injunction established against God. And thus, guess what happened? God intervened. Fellas, you know, maybe today is a day to confess your envy or jealousy. You know, just acknowledge the jealousy or envy that maybe you've labored over and replayed in your mind far too many times. Don't let the enemy gain a foothold that results in behaviors and actions that pit you against God himself. So confess it today before it's too late. Guys, I love you, and I hope this has blessed you. If it has, share it with someone you know. And with that, I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.